Hello and welcome to my latest video. I want to talk about photography today, or more precisely, I want to talk about photographs. Now, you are, I'm sure, one of those people, as I am, who takes a lot of photographs or a lot of pictures. And probably, not everybody, but probably you take your photographs on your phone. And what do you do with your phone? What do you do with your photographs? Well, you have them on here in your photo app, and you scroll through them and you look at them, and they're about the size of a small postage stamp. They're smaller than that. You might build them up to fill the screen. And you look at them, and if you're anything like me, you've got something like 25,000 photographs on your phone. You might have a computer, you might have a laptop, you might have a tablet, and you look at your photographs on your device, as they say. And then they're gone. And what we live in now is a society in which photographs are done and then they're gone. They appear on Instagram. And yes, sometimes I put my photographs on Instagram. But Instagram stories, I'm not quite sure how it works, but they're on there for a few days and then they're gone. They disappear. And the thing about digital photographs is that they are ephemeral. They are gone. They disappear. And what a photograph should be is it captures a moment in time. But when it's a digital image, that moment in time is then lost forever. So what should we do with them? Well, what we should do with them, I think, is what we used to do with them. And do you remember this? Now, if you're of a certain age, you won't know what this is. But if you're of a certain age, you will know. It's what's called a photo album. And when cameras used films and phones with cameras didn't exist, you would take a photograph on your camera and you would print it out and you would stick it in an album. And you would stick that album on your shelf. And occasionally you'd look at it, not very often. Now, it's a digital image, it's here and it's gone. But at least when you had a photo album, you still had it. You had it forever. You may not look at it very often, but you did look at it. And up until about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I still did that. And I made, here's a photo album actually. I think it may have been a kind of, well, no, it was a photo album. I think I bought it in the convent shop and it was quite expensive. And I made a trip to Istanbul and I took a whole range of photographs. Now, these photographs were taken on film cameras because this was before the time of digital cameras, before the time of phones. And I had them all printed out and I made them into photographs which I put on or rather which I stuck into this photo album. And one of my favorite photographs is this one. And this was taken in a little village near the Black Sea. And in fact, somebody saw this on the internet, of course, and said, "Can I have that photograph? Because I want to put it in a book." And they did. They give me a credit, but I didn't get any money for it. Anyway, I was talking to my mate Mark the other day, and Mark was telling me he still has a camera. Not a film camera, but a digital camera. But he takes pictures and he prints them out. And he puts them in a photo album like we used to 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I thought I should do that. I should get some permanency into my pictures. Now you can get, obviously, you can create one of these. Now this is a photo book, all right? And you can get these from Apple or wherever it is. You upload your photographs and they put them into a book for you. And yes, it's quite a nice thing, but there is something about the tactile element of sticking your photographs into an album that is such a wonderful kind of feeling. So I went to WH Smith's, and I went to Ryman, and I said, "Have you got any photo corners?" And they were like, "What?" I said, have you got any photo corners? And they're sort of calling their colleagues over, saying there's some weird bloke here asking for photo corners. And I did find some. They didn't have them in mine, but they said, well, I have some in the warehouse, but I don't think so. They don't have those kind of things anymore. And I actually got these from Amazon, of course, because you can get everything from Amazon. And what is a photo corner? Well, it is a triangular piece of plastic. And let me see if I can unroll it here. It's a triangular piece of plastic, right? It's very small. And it's sticky on one side, and there's a kind of little envelope on the other side. And you stick that down in your album, and then you stick the corners of your photographs into it, and there you are. You have your photographs in a photo album. So I went to Flanders a few weeks ago with a friend of mine to do some cycling, and I took a number of pictures on my phone, yes, because I was cycling around. I wasn't carrying a camera because I was worried about falling off and the camera getting broken and so on and so forth. I took a number of pictures and I was using an app, and the app is called Hipstermatic. So this video, if you like, is about a combination of the digital and the real. In other words, the solid, the actual photograph on a piece of paper that you can hold in your hand, that you can look at. You don't just see it on the screen and then poof, it's gone, a puff of smoke. And so I was looking for a kind of photo album, I suppose a little bit like this, but I couldn't find one. I did find a few of these, but I didn't want to use that kind of thing. So in the end, I got a sketchbook, and this is an artist's sketchbook with white pages, and it's designed for people to make sketches in. And I thought, well, if I get my photo corners, and I have my artist sketchbook, and I get my photographs that I took on this app called Hipstermatic, and I get them printed out, I can stick them in my album, and I will have what we used to call a photo album. And that's what I did. And I'm next going to get a pen and I'm going to write captions on it. Now it took me about an hour or something to stick these photographs down in the album, because there's these tiny little photo corners and they stick to your fingers and you can't get them off, and you've got to place your pictures carefully on the page. You've got to put your photo corners down and you put the picture in, and I'm going to have to spend another couple of hours thinking up captions and writing the caption on. But I'm going to have something that is a permanent reminder of a trip that I made to Belgium, Flanders, cycling, and it's going to have photographs in it. So not my advice, but my feeling is, if you take photographs on your phone, which of course you do, or you take photographs on your digital camera, which of course you do, and you put them on your computer or your laptop or your tablet and you look at them there, which of course you do, why not go to the next stage and get them printed out and put them in an album and have something that's going to last, something that's going to remind you, not something that forces you to scroll back through your phone and you find the years. Now, obviously, you can search on your phone. You put in a title or a location or a date or whatever, and immediately it comes up on your phone. But one of the things that my friend Mark was telling me, he said, if you give a photo album to somebody, and let's take this one, for example. Now here is a photograph that I took in Istanbul, all right, and it's a series of, it's a picture of the minarets, okay, it's late afternoon light. And somebody might look at that and say, I think that's a really good picture. But what do they do next? They turn the page, don't they? And they look at the next photograph, all right? And then they look at the next photograph. And perhaps they go on a bit further and they'll say, no, Julian, I love the light in there. I love the way the light refracts through the stained glass windows and lights up those columns. Whereabouts in Istanbul was that? Now, if I had a caption on this, I could say, well, actually, that wasn't in Istanbul. That was in Saint Malo. where I went, I don't know, 30 years ago, and I took that photograph and I printed it out and I put it in this album. And it, as Mark says, people go through an album and they look at one picture after another and they say, oh, when was that? And oh, when was that? And if there's a caption on it, they can say, oh, I can see that. Yeah, I've been there. And oh, that's a really nice photograph. Oh, how did you take that? Oh, it's good. And um, you get back into photography through the medium of photographs. Okay, it's no longer just an ephemeral passing moment in time that disappeared. What is it that uh, who is it who says at the end of Blade Runner, lost in time like tears in rain? And that's what your digital images are, all right? They are lost in time like tears in rain. But your photographs, which you stick into your album, they will last. And they will last. And people can look at them because they will last. And the thing about Hipstamatic, I just talk about the app briefly, is it gives you different looks. Okay, so it tries to imitate a film camera. But these ones that I particularly like have the feel of the old Polaroids. Do you remember the Polaroid? And in fact, when you take the picture on your phone with Hipstamatic, because they are so bloody clever with their algorithms now, you shake the camera and you see the picture develop just like a Polaroid used to. If you don't know what a Polaroid is, ask your grandparents or Google it, because it was an amazing invention. You can still get them actually in the same way that film cameras and vinyl and so forth are making a bit of a comeback, because people have recognised they want the permanence, they want the tactile feeling, they want the process of taking a photograph, not just pressing the button on their phone and then it's done. They want something, because everything in your life passes, doesn't it? So this too shall pass, but this too can stand, because this photograph, which I took um, 35 years ago, right, which is the cafe, is it the Cafe San Marco? I'm not sure, but it's in, no, it's Florian, Cafe Florian in St. Mark's Square in Venice. And it was taken on a Nikon, and it was taken using Kodachrome 64 slide film, which I then had turned into a print, and I put into this album, and it is still there. And I can still look at that photograph and I can still say, yeah, Julian, you're not a bad photographer. Okay, you can take a decent picture. And this is in Bruges. And I love the angles, I love the colour, I love the puce and the pink and the beige and the flesh colour. I love the lines, I love the shape, I love the form, I love the moment, I love everything about that picture. And it's what makes photography such a wonderful thing. And perhaps my favourite of all, for a number of reasons, but partly because of the vintage nature of it, the old-fashioned nature of it, the way the trees are cropped, the way the cyclist has just paused to admire the view, the way that the camera, or in this instance a phone, has captured that moment in time, I've turned it into a photograph. I've put that photograph into an album, and that will always be there. And they found photo albums on the Titanic, and they opened it up and they said, look, the resemblance to Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio is absolutely uncanny. But you can do that with a photograph and a washed away the salt water, but the photograph endures, and what we love in life is what endures. So, thanks for watching. See you next time.